The first thing the paramedics noticed wasn't the blood. It was the smell. The fourth-floor apartment on Fulton Avenue should have reeked of death. Old carpets, stale air, iron and copper and rot. Instead, it smelled like a public swimming pool during school holidays, thick, chemical. A chlorine haze that burned their nostrils and watered their eyes. Jez, one of them, coughed into his elbow. Did someone mop the whole building? The second paramedic didn't answer. He was staring at the woman on the living room floor. She was on her side, one arm twisted under her. There were bruises around her throat, faint finger marks that hadn't yet turned purple. Her hair was wet, strands clinging to her face and the bleached laminate flooring. There was blood pooled beneath her head. Only a little, considering the call had come in as a possible homicide. But the floor around her was spotless. No dusty shoe prints, no drag marks, no smears on the walls or the doorframe. Somebody had cleaned this place from ceiling to baseboard, and they hadn't exactly been gentle. The bleach smell was eye-watering. "Pulse?" the first paramedic asked. The second knelt, pressed 2 fingers to the woman's neck, and jumped back slightly when she made a thin, broken sound. "Alive," he said, stunned. "Weak, but she's alive." They loaded her, lights and sirens splitting the night. Neighbors watched from doorways, shirts thrown on inside out, bare feet on cold hallway tile. One of them, a middle-aged woman with a headscarf and tired eyes, whispered to the officer taking statements. "He was here," she said. "I smelled him again. I told you people before, the bleach man. I smelled him." The officer gave her the kind of look cops reserve for drunks and conspiracy theorists. "Ma'am," he said, "we'll take your statement down. But right now, we need to secure the scene." He didn't write down the word she'd used. Bleach. By the time Christina Lucas arrived at the apartment, dawn was just starting to bruise the sky. Her Uber left her at the corner, and she flashed her badge at the uniform on the perimeter. Her curly hair was pulled into a messy bun, and there was a coffee stain on her shirt from a bump on the ride over. She'd been in bed 30 minutes before her phone had buzzed on the nightstand. Possible pattern match. That was all the message from the NYPD data system had said. And for Christina, that was enough. She'd joined the department as a data analyst, the kind of person who spent more time in front of SQL queries and heat maps than crime scenes. Her weapon was an algorithm, not a gun. But over the past year, her knack for finding connections nobody else saw meant she occasionally got called to the field when the system flagged a case. Tonight was one of those nights. She climbed the stairs, hand on the rail. The metal was damp. She sniffed, frowned, and wiped her fingers on her jeans. Bleach. A crime scene tech in a white Tyvek suit met her at the door of 4B. "You're the pattern girl?" he asked, voice muffled behind his mask. "That's what they keep calling me," she said. "What have we got?" He stepped aside. "You tell me." The moment she crossed the threshold, the smell hit her like a wall. Her eyes watered. Her throat tightened. There was a faint haze in the air, like steam after a shower, but it was chemical, not warm. She pulled the sleeve of her denim jacket over her nose. "Wow," she muttered. "Did you guys already process the scene?" He shook his head. "We just got here. Door was locked when first unit arrived. No forced entry. Victim's name is Samantha Hart, 32, graphic designer. Neighbor called 911 after hearing thuds and something breaking. By the time they got here, it smelled like this." Christina scanned the apartment. The furniture was basic. IKEA couch, cheap coffee table, TV on a stand. A plant in the corner with leaves spotted brown, overwatered and underloved. Everything gleamed dully under the overhead light. Not a speck of dust on the bookshelves. No clutter on the counters. "What about the neighbor who called it in?" Christina asked. "Still downstairs," the tech said. "She's freaked. Keeps talking about how this is just like last time." Christina's head snapped toward him. "Last time?" He shrugged. "Some older tenant on the second floor died last year, overdose or something. The neighbor says the same smell was in the hallway that night, but the ME listed it as accidental. No sign of foul play." Christina's brain was already ticking. "Can I see where they found the victim?" she asked. He led her to the living room. The paramedics were gone now. Only the chalk outline and numbered markers remained. Marker number 3 sat where the most blood had pooled, but it was a sad little drop, not the spatter she was used to seeing in crime scene photos. The walls were smudge-free. There was a broken lamp near the overturned coffee table. The cord had been unplugged from the wall. "No prints?" she asked. "Not yet. Bleach like this nukes almost everything," the tech said. "We'll try, but—" Christina squatted by the outline, pulling her phone out. She snapped a few wide shots, then zoomed in on the floor. The laminate had tiny swirls, faint scratches from daily wear. But near where Samantha's head would have been, the pattern looked different. "Can I get a UV?" she asked. The tech handed over a slim flashlight. Christina clicked it on and swept the beam over the floor. Under the ultraviolet, the laminate glowed a muted blue. In the middle of that glow was a jagged, irregular area of dull, flat nothing. A dark void where the UV didn't reflect. "Bleach break," she murmured. "That's where the heaviest cleaning happened." "You sound like you've seen this before," the tech said. Christina straightened slowly, mind racing. "Maybe." She stared at the void glowing back at her. A memory she'd worked hard to bury bubbled up from where she'd shoved it. A stairwell. A yellow caution sign. The sharp sting of chlorine in her nose while officers stepped around her sister's backpack sitting lonely on the landing. Back in the squad room at One Police Plaza, Detective Ryan Keller dropped a file onto Christina's desk. "You're not going to like this," he said. "I don't like anything before 6 a.m., Christina replied without looking up. Her dual monitors were filled with spreadsheets and a crime map, little red dots clustering in neighborhoods like a rash. She'd already plugged in Samantha Hart's case, linking it with the previous death in the same building. Keller leaned on the edge of her desk, the fluorescent light catching on his 5 o'clock shadow. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and permanently rumpled, like he'd been born in a crumpled suit. Cops like Keller used to think analysts like Christina were nerds who belonged in the basement. He'd changed his tune after she'd cracked a triple homicide ring by noticing a pattern in liquor store receipts. Now he treated her like a necessary annoyance. "The ME just called," he said. "Our victims in surgery, strangulation, blunt force trauma. But they said there's something weird with her airways." Christina finally looked up. "Weird how?" "Chemical irritation, like she inhaled something. They think the bleach wasn't just in the room." Keller grimaced. "It was in her lungs." Christina's stomach turned. He poured bleach down her throat, or over her face, or into the air. "I don't know. I'm not the doc." He ran a hand through his hair. "The neighbor downstairs says she smelled this same crap when some guy OD'd last year. Me ruled that one a fentanyl overdose, but now we're wondering how many accidents came with the smell of bleach," Christina finished for him. Keller tapped the file, which bore a red tag. "Captain wants to know if this is our guy," he said. "The one you keep bothering people about." Christina sighed. "You say that like I enjoy bothering people." He gave her a look. She spun one of the monitors toward him. "Okay, look. In the last 18 months, the city's logged 12 deaths that were ruled accidental or suicides. Household fall, overdose, carbon monoxide. On paper, they look unrelated. But 6 of those scenes had documented strong chemical odor, noted by first responders. 2 specifically mentioned bleach. In all 6, the scene was unusually clean. No prints, no shoe impressions, no DNA from anyone except the victim." Keller skimmed the dots on the map. "People clean, especially if someone dies. They get embarrassed." Christina zoomed in on one dot. A 70-year-old woman who slipped in the tub and somehow had every inch of her bathroom scrubbed to a hospital shine before EMS arrived. He hesitated. "I'm not saying it's impossible," Christina said, softer. "I'm saying it's improbable. You know what we call improbable patterns in my world?" He sighed. "Serial offenders." "Exactly. Somebody out there is killing people and cleaning up so well we're signing off on them as accidents." She tapped the file Keller had dropped on her desk. "Samantha Hart might be the first one who got away." "Barely," Keller muttered. "Even if she makes it through surgery, who knows what she'll remember?" "Sometimes memory isn't the only witness," Christina said. "Sometimes the witness is what shouldn't be there, or what's missing." Keller rubbed his face. "You're really going to make me ask, aren't you?" She blinked. "Ask what?" He nodded at the secondary file on her desk, the one she never let anyone else touch. The edges were frayed from years of being opened and closed. "Your sister," he said quietly. "You think this is connected to that?" The air between them tightened. Christina flipped the file shut. I think an unsolved disappearance with a bleached-out stairwell and a missing backpack deserves as much attention as any of these. But nobody looked at it that way back then. They just assumed Beatrice ran away. Keller's eyes softened. You were 16, Christina. I'm not asking for sympathy, she cut in. I'm asking you to help me prove what the numbers are already telling me. We have a pattern. And if I'm right... She pulled up a list on her screen. Names, addresses, dates. If I'm right, Samantha isn't the first one who met the Bleach monster, she said. She's just the first one who lived. The media didn't call him the Bleach monster, of course. They called him the clean-cut killer on some channels, the chlorine phantom on others. The tabloids went with Mr. Clean, which earned a cease and desist letter from the company within 24 hours. Christina hated all of it. It made him sound clever, charming, a brand. To her, he was still just the thing the neighbor had whispered in the hallway. Bleach man. Social media is already running with it, Keller grumbled, scrolling through his phone as they sat in the hospital waiting room. There's a TikTok filter that makes everything look like it's been wiped down with Clorox. Kids think it's funny. Christina looked up from her tablet. Hashtag? Wham, clean kill, he said, disgusted. Her fingers flew. Then we monitor it. People joke about real fears. Sometimes they know more than we do. Keller frowned, but didn't argue. They'd been waiting outside Samantha Hart's ICU room for an hour. A uniform stood guard at the door. Through the viewing window, Christina could see the tubes and monitors, the slow, steady rise and fall of Samantha's chest. Her hair had been washed, the dried bleach and blood rinsed out. Her face was mottled with bruises. What do we know about her? Christina asked. Keller checked his notes. Lived alone, freelance graphic designer, mostly web stuff and branding. No criminal record, no ex with a restraining order. Her last text was to her best friend, 20 minutes before the neighbor called 911. Something about a client meeting that ran late. Client? Christina perked up. Who? Guy named Ellis Drake, owns a chain of cleaning supply stores. Wants to launch a new eco-friendly bleach brand, apparently. He smirked. Irony noted. Christina's heart did a hard, cold flip. What? Keller asked, noticing her change in expression. Drake Care, she said slowly. Is that his brand? Keller checked the file. Yeah. Why? She spun her tablet toward him. On the screen was a spreadsheet of purchase histories. Because 3 of our suspicious scenes had large purchases of Drake Care Ultra Bleach within 48 hours of the victim's death, and another one had a cleaning service contract with one of his franchises. Keller stared. You think the Bleach guy is... what? A businessman with a marketing problem? I think we'd be stupid not to look at him, she replied. Before he could answer, the uniform at the door straightened. The ICU nurse waved them over. She's awake, the nurse said. But only for a bit. Don't push her. Christina and Keller slipped on disposable gowns and masks and stepped inside. The beep of the heart monitors synced with Christina's pulse. Up close, Samantha looked smaller, fragile. A plastic mask covered her mouth and nose, misting with oxygen. Her eyes fluttered open as they approached. Ms. Hart, Keller said softly. I'm Detective Keller. This is Christina Lucas. We just need to ask you a couple of questions. We know you're tired. Her gaze slid to Christina, unfocused but aware. Can you nod yes or no? Christina asked. Samantha nodded, a slow, painful dip of her chin. Good, Christina said gently. Do you remember what happened to you tonight? A hesitation, then another nod. Was it someone you know? Keller asked. Someone you invited in? Samantha's brow furrowed. She shook her head just barely. Did he break in? Christina asked. Another head shake. Her hand twitched at her side, fingers curling like she was trying to grip something that wasn't there. Christina leaned closer. Did you let him in? Samantha tensed. Tears gathered at the corners of her eyes. Was he pretending to be someone else? Christina tried. A delivery guy, a neighbor, a friend of a friend? Samantha's lips moved under the mask, forming silent words. The nurse frowned. She shouldn't strain. Just one more, Christina said, without taking her eyes off. Samantha. Ms. Hart, when he attacked you, did you smell anything? Anything unusual? Samantha's pupils dilated. She started breathing faster, panic fluttering her chest. The heart monitor beeped in alarm. Christina touched her hand. It's okay. You're safe now. Just nod if it was bleach. For a second, nothing happened. Then Samantha's chin dipped, once. Tears slipped down her temples and into her hair. The nurse stepped in. That's enough. Her levels are spiking. As they were ushered out, Christina glanced back. Samantha was staring at her. Her eyes were wide, terrified, and full of something else. Recognition. They got Ellis Drake into an interrogation room 36 hours later. He came in voluntarily with a lawyer. That always made things trickier. Drake was mid-40s, fit, with salt and pepper hair and a tan that said, "Weekend golf, not construction site." He wore a tailored navy suit that probably cost more than Christina's car. When she and Keller entered the room, he gave them a polite, practiced smile. "Officers," he said, "I already told the gentleman outside. Anything you need from me, you have it. I'm appalled by what happened to Miss Hart. She did brilliant work for us." "For your bleach company," Keller said, sitting opposite him. "For my cleaning products line," Drake corrected, still smiling. "Bleach is just one part of it." Christina sat beside Keller, placing a folder on the table. "Can you tell us where you were on the night Samantha was attacked?" "Of course." He clasped his hands loosely in front of him. "I was at a charity gala at the Waldorf. I left around 11, went home. My driver can confirm." Christina flipped the folder open. "We spoke to your driver. He confirmed the gala and the ride home." She held up a printout. "We also found your company's bleach, purchased in bulk at 3 locations that later became crime scenes. The victims had no known connection to you. Care to explain?" Drake's eyebrows lifted, but his smile didn't slip. "Detective, my products are sold in hundreds of stores across the tri-state area. If anything, I'm surprised the number is that low. People buy bleach. It's what they do with it that matters." Keller leaned back, studying him. "And what do you think someone like you would do with it?" "Me," Drake chuckled. "I sell it. I don't play with it." Christina watched him carefully. His pupils were steady. His hands didn't fidget. If he was lying, he was very good at it. "Mr. Drake," she said, "you hired Samantha Hart to rebrand your flagship bleach product 3 months ago. By your own emails, you met with her in person at least 6 times. The night she was attacked was supposed to be a 7th meeting. She sent you a calendar invite. You haven't responded to our question about whether you accepted." Drake's smile thinned. "My schedule is busy. I have an assistant handle most invites." "But you did have a meeting with her that night," Christina pressed. "At her apartment." His lips parted in protest, but the slightest pause beforehand was enough. "Did you kill her?" Keller asked bluntly. Drake's eyes flashed. "No." His head, almost imperceptibly, dipped. It was tiny. If Christina hadn't been watching for micro-expressions, she might have missed it. The classic mismatch. The word said no, but the head said yes. Her pulse spiked. He saw her reaction and smiled again, wider now. "You're recording this, right? You can play it back as many times as you want. I said no. That's all that matters." "Words matter," Christina said. "So do patterns." He shrugged. "Then you know I'm not your man. I design labels and write checks. I don't break into women's apartments and pour cleaning fluid down their throats. That's deranged." "What about accidents?" Christina asked. "You ever clean up a mess you didn't want anyone to see?" For the first time, something flickered in his eyes that wasn't rehearsed. "Oh, we all clean up after ourselves, Miss Lucas," he said softly. "Some of us are just better at it than others." A chill raced down her spine. When they stepped out of the room to let his lawyer rant about harassment, Keller pinched the bridge of his nose. "I don't like him," he said, "but I can't arrest someone for having a creepy brand." Christina chewed her lip. "His driver's alibi holds, but that only covers him from 11 to midnight. Samantha's neighbor called 911 at 11:46. If Samantha let him in before he left the gala. We don't even know that's when it happened," Keller said. "It could have been earlier. Or later." She exhaled. "We need more." As they argued quietly, the captain walked up, file in hand. "You two have a problem," she said. Our witness just had a setback, bleeding in the brain. She's back in surgery. If she doesn't make it, Keller finished, we lose our only living link to whoever did this. Not quite our only link, Christina said. Both of them looked at her. She thought of her sister's backpack. She thought of the bleach void on Samantha's floor. I need access to cold case archives, she said. Every accidental death with a chemical odor report in the last 10 years. Not just this city. The captain frowned. That's a lot of paper. It's a lot of bodies, if I'm right, Christina said quietly. And I think he's been practicing for a long time. The first time he killed someone. He didn't use bleach. It annoyed him later how sloppy he'd been. He remembered the way she'd laughed at him. Not out loud. Just in her eyes, that smug little crinkle at the corners when he'd fumbled his wallet. When he'd dropped the gift he'd brought, the cheap bouquet, the white petals scattering on the dirty floor of her apartment hallway. Relax, Ellis, she'd said, voice syrupy. You're so tense. It's only dinner. He'd told himself it wasn't a date, that she was a colleague, a project manager, someone who simply appreciated his attention. But she'd chosen the short dress, the red lipstick. She'd leaned close when she spoke, hand brushing his arm. He'd bought wine he couldn't afford. He'd planned the whole menu. And then, halfway through the main course, she'd excused herself to take a call. In the hallway, just out of sight, she'd whispered to someone. He's harmless, she'd said. Pathetic, but harmless. I'll be done with him by 10. Something inside him had snapped. Later, he remembered the way the wine glass had shattered against the wall, the way her eyes had widened, the way her voice had turned shrill and ugly, calling him names, throwing words like creep and obsessed and no wonder your ex left. He remembered his hands on her throat and the sudden silence. He remembered the mess. Wine spilled across the tablecloth, shards of glass on the floor, the raw animal smell of sweat and fear and something else. He stared at her body for a long time, chest heaving, ears ringing. Then he'd seen the stains. On the wallpaper, on the carpet, on his hands. He'd always hated mess. In his mother's house, you did not leave stains. You did not leave crumbs. You did not leave toys on the floor or fingerprints on the glass. If you did, you learned to scrub them. Knees on tile, steel wool in hand. Mind blank while the bleach fumes burned the inside of your nose. Sin is a stain, she'd say, pressing his hand harder into the bucket. Only purity gets you forgiven. Scrub. He thought of her as he looked at the dead woman on the floor. Sin is a stain, he whispered. In the small utility closet off the kitchen he'd found it, an old bottle with a cracked cap, half full. He'd unscrewed it and inhaled. The smell of his childhood. By the time he left, the apartment gleamed. The wine was gone. The glass carefully swept. He'd watched the stains fade to nothing under his hands. The bleach had claimed his clothes, too. He'd thrown them in a dumpster. Walked home in a neighbor's forgotten coat from the communal laundry room. They ruled it an accident. She'd slipped, hit her head on the corner of the table. Tragic. But these things happen. He'd watched the news that night with a strange elation. It was so easy. All you had to do was clean. I've mapped 12 cases in the city that fit our profile, Christina told Keller, gesturing at the digital board in the conference room. Heat maps glowed behind her, pins in different colors. 5 more in Jersey, 3 in Connecticut, 2 upstate. This is bigger than a citywide issue, Keller said, reading. The dates. He travels. Or he moved gradually, refining his technique, she said. Look here. She pointed at a cluster in Brooklyn. The earlier ones have more noise, some partial prints, inconsistencies in the cleaning. But over time the scenes get purer. Purer, he repeated. Less trace evidence, fewer fibers. The bleach coverage is more consistent. He's learning. Keller's jaw clenched. And we're just catching up. He targets people who live alone, she went on. People with recent stressors, breakups, job loss, health issues. Easy to chalk their deaths up to accidents. And there's one more thing. She clicked to a new slide. A list appeared. Dates, addresses, product names. At 9 of these scenes, we found one brand of bleach used. Not just present, but used in large quantities, she said. Drake Care Ultra, It's got a distinct chemical composition, higher concentration, specific additives. It fluoresces under UV in a slightly different spectrum. That's how I knew what to look for. Keller frowned. So either Drake is our guy, or someone is using his product to frame him. Or someone who has consistent access to it, Christina said. A distributor, a franchise owner, a regional manager, someone in his supply chain with mobility. Or, Keller countered, someone who hates him and wants us to knock on his door. She conceded that with a tilt of her head. You're sure about your sister's case fitting this? He asked quietly. She swallowed. The dot for that one was a different color, standing alone on the map like a wound. I can't prove it, she said. There was no body, just the backpack, the shoe, the cleaned stairwell. They called it a runaway because they didn't want to consider the alternative. He rested a hand on her shoulder. We'll get you proof. One way or another. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stepped aside and answered. This is Christina. A low voice crackled on the line, distorted, like it was passing through a cheap digital filter. You're very good at your job, Ms. Lucas, it said. Her blood turned to ice. Who is this? They never listened to you about your sister, the voice went on, ignoring the question. But you kept digging. That's admirable. Persistence is clean. It cuts through the dirt. She motioned to Keller frantically, mouthing, Trace this. He grabbed his own phone, dialing tech. If this is a joke, she began. It's not a joke. The voice sounded almost amused. Jokes are messy. People laugh at the wrong time, say things they don't mean. I don't like that. Did you attack Samantha Hart? Did I kill her? He echoed mockingly. Such a vulgar phrase. I prefer to think of it as erasing mistakes. What mistake did she make? Christina forced herself to keep her voice calm. She made a promise with her art she couldn't keep. She promised purity. She promised transformation. But in the end, her work was just another layer of paint over a stain. We know about the other deaths, Christina said. We're not blind. Every accident you thought you hid. We're reopening them. We will find you. I hope you do, he said softly. I've been waiting for someone to see the pattern. It gets boring, you know, cleaning up after people who never even knew they were dirty. An odd, breathy laugh. Let me ask you something, Ms. Lucas, he said. If you could scrub away the worst thing you ever did, would you? Even if it meant scrubbing away part of yourself. She swallowed. I sleep fine at night. Liar, he said gently. But that's okay. We all lie. We all stain. Some of us just choose to live with it. Others of us... Another soft chuckle. We do something about it. Christina, Keller whispered. We're bouncing off towers in Jersey. He's using a spoofed VoIP. We're not going to nail him in time. She pressed the phone tighter. Why Bleach? She asked. There was a pause. When I was a boy, he said slowly, my mother taught me that sin smells. She said you could tell a bad soul by the sourness in the air. But when everything smelled like bleach, she smiled. She hugged me. She said, now that's better. That's clean. His voice softened to a whisper. You ever crawl on your hands and knees, Christina, with your fingers raw and your lungs on fire, just to earn a hug? Her throat closed up. I saw your file, he went on. You had good grades, scholarships. You did everything right, and they still called you a liar when you told them your sister didn't run away. How do you know about my sister? She demanded. He ignored her. Some stains, he said, are people, standing in front of you, telling you you're crazy, leaving their fingerprints on your life. Bleach can't take care of all of that. But it's a start. You're sick, she whispered. No, he said. I'm just thorough. The line went dead. Christina stared at the phone, heartbeat roaring in her ears. Keller was already on the phone with tech. Yeah, we lost him. Route traces are garbage. Yeah, same distorted voice filter as the video that got emailed to the tip line. Christina's head snapped up. What video? He winced. I was saving that until after coffee. He pulled up his email and turned the screen toward her. The subject line was blank. The body contained only one sentence. Do you believe her now? Below it, a single attachment, a video file. The video was grainy, the kind of footage you got from a cheap security camera. The angle suggested it might be a hidden device on a shelf, a slight downward tilt on a small, dim room. The walls were concrete. There was a drain in the soft floor. In the center of the frame, a woman sat on a metal chair, wrists bound to the armrests with plastic zip ties. A bag covered her head. The time stamp in the corner was from 3 years ago. Christina's chest seized. "I'm going to turn the sound down," Keller said quietly. "You don't have to." "Play it," she said through her teeth. He hit the spacebar. In the video, the bag was pulled off. The woman gasped, sucking in air. Her face was streaked with tears. Her hair was in tight braids, some loose at the edges. Her t-shirt had the logo of a local high school. Christina's vision tunneled. "Beatrice," she whispered. Her sister looked straight into the camera, eyes huge. "Please," Beatrice said. "Please. I swear I won't tell anyone. Just let me go home. My sister will be looking for me. She'll be worried." A man stepped into frame. Only his torso and arms were visible. His face was cut off at the edge of the shot. He was wearing blue nitrile gloves. "Your sister," he said. The voice was distorted even here, a higher pitch, but the cadence was familiar from the phone call. "She already thinks you don't want to be found. That makes her messy. She questions. She digs. She tries to prove the world wrong. It's very tiring." Beatrice shook her head frantically. No, she knows I wouldn't run. She knows I could keep you," he mused. "Locked away somewhere. But eventually she'd convince someone to listen. She'd make noise." He moved toward the wall, picked up a large white jug. Bleach. Beatrice started to sob. "You don't have to do this," she begged. "Please, I'll do anything. I can help you. I'll clean, "Oh, I know you would," he said. "But this isn't about you. This is about the stain you leave." He unscrewed the cap. Christina couldn't breathe. "Sometimes the only way," he said, tilting the jug, "is to wipe the slate." The screen pixelated as liquid sloshed. The camera lens fogged, the image going milky white. Beatrice's screams distorted into static. Then, abruptly, the video cut out. The room spun. Keller hit pause, jaw tight. "I'm so sorry," he said, voice raw. "We just got that from the tip line an hour ago. Captain wanted to be sure it was legit before we showed you." Christina staggered to a chair, sank into it. Her hands were trembling so hard she had to sit on them. "He kept it," she whispered. "He kept the video. For 3 years. And now he's sending it to us," Keller said. "He wants us to see. He wants you to see." She stared at the blank screen. "He said some stains are people," she murmured. "He thinks he's cleaning the world." "And now he's made it personal," Keller said. "That's his mistake." Her head jerked up. "We use it." He frowned. "Use what?" She pointed at the screen. "He's arrogant. He likes patterns. Rituals. He uses the same product line but changes just enough to feel clever. He calls you, sends videos. He wants a conversation. So we talk back." "You want to go public," Keller said slowly. "Yes," she said. "We leak this. Not all of it. Blur Beatrice's face, scrub the audio. But we show everyone the bleach, the gloves. We ask for tips. We bait him." "That could send him to ground," Keller argued. "Or make him escalate." "If we do nothing, he escalates anyway," she shot back. "He targeted me. He sent me proof. He's playing with us. The only way to win is to change the rules." The captain stepped into the doorway, having clearly heard the last part. "You want to put an active serial killer on the evening news," she said. "Yes," Christina said. The captain studied her. "You're too close to this, Lucas." "I was born in it," Christina said quietly. "I grew up in a house that never let dirt sit. I watched them dismiss my sister like she was disposable. If you tell me to leave, I will. But someone else needs to run this with the same fire. Because he's not going to stop until we make him." Silence. Finally, the captain sighed. "I'll talk to media relations," she said. "We do this my way, tight control, any leaks outside official channels, and I shut this down." Christina nodded. As the captain left, Keller sat beside her. "You sure you're up for this?" he asked. She looked at the frozen frame of the bleach jug on the monitor. "I don't have a choice," she said. The news special aired on a Friday. They didn't show Beatrice's face. They blurred the drain. The audio was muted, replaced with sober narration about an unidentified young woman and a suspected serial offender using industrial cleaning products to cover his crimes. Social media exploded. Bleach Monster trended for 12 hours straight. Half the posts were jokes, memes of cartoon bottles chasing people down hallways, clips from cleaning commercials edited to look sinister. The other half were stories. "My aunt died in her bathroom last year. They said she slipped in the tub, but the whole place stank like Clorox for days. My roommate's OD accident never sat right. The cops didn't let us in for hours, and when we did, the apartment was spotless. This video is exactly like what happened in my building. Same smell, same drain." Christina and the task force worked around the clock, chasing every tip. 90% went nowhere. The remaining 10% formed a constellation. "Look at this," Christina said, slamming a stack of printouts on the table. 3 separate tips mention a cleaning company called Pure Path Services. They specialize in post-trauma cleanup. That's crime scenes, unattended deaths, hoarder houses, places most people don't want to touch. Keller flipped through the pages. "Let me guess. They use Drake Care products." "Exclusively," she said. "They have a partnership, discounted rates, cross-branding, and their regional manager?" She pulled up a photo on the screen. A man in his late 30s wearing a polo shirt with the Pure Path logo. Dark hair, blandly handsome in a way that was easy to forget. His name, Aaron Cole. "Got a background in chemistry," Christina read. "Worked at Drake Care in product testing for 6 years before moving to Pure Path. No criminal record. Lots of travel. His company vans have access to, well, everywhere." "Crime scenes," Keller said. "They go in after we leave. They see how we work, what we miss." "And they get very, very good at cleaning," Christina finished. They looked at each other. "Can we get eyes on him?" Keller asked. The captain appeared at the doorway again. "Already on it. He's at a job in Queens right now." Christina's heart lurched. "Where?" "An apartment where a woman died last week," the captain said. "Natural causes from what the ME could see. But the family requested a deep clean. Pure Path got the contract." Christina grabbed her jacket. "We have to go. Now." They didn't go in with sirens. Pure Path's white van was parked outside the aging brick building, logo neat on the side. The air smelled faintly of trash and car exhaust. The late afternoon light made everything seem washed out. "Last chance to sit this one out," Keller said as they approached. "If he's our guy, I want him to see my face," Christina said. They went up together, badges ready. On the 4th floor, the apartment door stood slightly ajar, a plastic sheet barrier hanging inside the frame. The faint tang of chemicals seeped through. Christina's lungs tightened. Keller knocked and pushed the door open. Inside, 2 workers in coveralls were hauling out bags of trash. They looked up, startled, as the detectives showed their badges. "Where's your boss?" Keller asked. In the back," one of them said. "Scrubbing the bathroom." The hallway was lined with family photos, smiling faces, birthdays, graduations. Christina glanced at each one as they passed, trying not to think of how easily those memories could have been wiped away. The bathroom door was open. A man knelt on the tile floor, back to them, scrubbing the inside of the tub with slow, methodical strokes. He wore blue nitrile gloves. "Aaron Cole," Christina said. He paused, turned. His eyes took them in, quick and sharp. For a heartbeat, his face was completely empty. Then he smiled, polite and professional. "Officers," he said. His voice was warm, with a hint of an unplaceable accent. Maybe Midwest, maybe nowhere. "Something wrong with the paperwork?" "We got clearance from the family." Christina's heart hammered. The bathroom reeked of bleach. "We have a few questions about some of your past jobs," Keller said. "Mind stepping. Outside a minute?" Aaron glanced at the half-scrubbed tub, then back at them. "I'd rather finish this first, if you don't mind. Once the product sits too long, you have to rinse and reapply." "Wasteful." Christina stepped closer. "We mind," she said. "Now." Something flickered in his gaze, not fear, calculation. He peeled off one glove slowly. "Of course." As they walked back down the hall, Christina noticed a faint white splatter on the wall that had missed his rag. A droplet shape, frozen mid-fall. She imagined him moving through crime scenes like a ghost, erasing, refining, perfecting his process. Her nails dug into her palms. They sat him at the small kitchen table. The other workers were sent outside for a smoke. Keller took the lead, his tone casual but firm. "You've been with PurePath for what, 5 years?" he asked. 6, Aaron corrected. "Before that, I was in product development at Drake Care. You've probably seen our stuff at the store." "Yeah," Keller said. "We've seen it." Christina watched Aaron's hands, the way they rested flat on the table, fingers spread, nails trimmed short. "You do a lot of travel," she said. He shrugged. "Where the mess is, I go. Not always pretty, but it's necessary." "Necessary?" she asked. "Someone has to do it." His gaze slid to her, assessing. "Most people don't want to see what's left behind. They want to pretend it's gone. I just make that illusion possible." His choice of words made her skin crawl. "We've noticed a pattern of deaths across several states," Keller said. "Accidents, mostly. Bleach-heavy scenes. A lot of them cleaned by your company." "Well, yes," Aaron said with a small smile. "That's kind of the business model." "And some," Christina said quietly, "cleaned before we ever called you." He tilted his head as if considering a riddle. "Do you believe in coincidences, Ms.?" He glanced at her badge. "Lucas." "I believe in data," she said. "It doesn't lie." "People say that about Bleach," he mused. "They think it's this magic truth serum for dirt. Pour it on, and the surface tells you what it really is. Clean or stained." He leaned forward slightly. "Do you know what happens if you mix it wrong?" he asked. "Combine it with the wrong agent. You can make something very unpleasant." There was a glint in his eye now. Keller shifted subtly, angling his body between Aaron and the hallway. "We received a video," Christina said, "of a young woman being held in a room with a drain in the floor. The person who made that video was very familiar with cleaning solutions. He talked a lot about purity." Aaron's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Sounds like a disturbed individual," he said. "Sounds like you," she replied. Silence. For the first time, the mask slipped. Just a little. His gaze sharpened, cutting. "You really are very good at your job," he said softly. Her chest constricted, the exact words he'd used on the phone. Keller's hand hovered near his holster. "You're under arrest," he began, "for the attempted murder of Samantha Hart and—" The kitchen lights went out. The apartment plunged into darkness. Christina's breath caught. The smell hit her a split second before the hiss. Bleach. Vaporized. Her eyes burned. Her throat seized. She heard Keller curse, heard a chair scrape, heard footsteps pounding down the hall. "Cole!" he shouted, voice ragged. "Stop!" Christina stumbled after him, half blind, eyes streaming. The hallway was a smear of shadows and family photos. A door slammed. Something crashed. A woman screamed in a neighboring unit. She reached the stairwell just in time to see Aaron disappearing down the next flight. A dark blur. He moved with the quick, sure steps of someone who could navigate any building by instinct. She lunged, fingers brushing his sleeve. For a second, they touched. His head turned. Their eyes met. In his gaze, she saw something that made her cold all over. Recognition. "You shouldn't have put that video on TV," he said calmly, even as he ran. "It ruins the illusion. People start seeing stains everywhere." She gasped for air, lungs on fire. "I know your face now," she managed. "I will find you." He smiled. "You already did," he said. "That's the fun part." He disappeared into the shadows below. By the time they cleared their eyes enough to give chase, he was gone. The PurePath van outside was still there, but its back doors hung open, swinging gently in the breeze. Inside, a white jug of bleach sat upright, cap off. At the bottom of the empty van, written in the condensation on the metal floor, were 4 words: "See you at home." They put Christina under protective detail. She didn't argue, not because she was afraid for herself, though she was, but because she could feel how much he wanted her scared, vulnerable, alone. She refused to give him that. 2 uniforms sat in a car outside her apartment building. Another rotated through the lobby. Keller slept on her couch the first night, grumbling about her choice of streaming subscriptions. I'm not watching another true crime doc, he said, flipping through the options. It's like work, but with worse coffee. Then give me control of the remote, she said. He did, eventually. At 2 a.m, with a bad sitcom playing quietly, her phone buzzed on the coffee table. Unknown number. Her heart stuttered. She showed it to Keller. He nodded, hit record on his own device, and gestured for her to answer on speaker. She did. Hello, Christina, the voice said. No distortion this time. It was Aaron's, soft and conversational, like a friend calling late. You're really leaning into the cliché, she said, proud her voice, only trembled a little. Calling the girl you're obsessed with in the middle of the night. He chuckled. You think this is about you? You sent me a video of my sister dying, she said. You called me at my desk. You wrote a message in your van saying you'd see me at home. So yeah, it's a little about me. He sighed, a sound of theatrical disappointment. For such a smart woman, he said, you can be very self-centered. Keller rolled his eyes silently. You're surrounded by people right now, Aaron went on. Guns, badges. You think that keeps you clean. But if you look out your window, you'll see the truth. Christina's stomach clenched. She didn't move. Keller stood, easing toward the window, gun drawn. He peered through a gap in the curtains, then swore. What? She hissed. He motioned her over. She joined him, keeping low, and looked. Across the street, in the windows of the building opposite hers, lights were on in a half-dozen apartments. On 6 windows, white letters had been taped up, one on each pane. T-O-O-L-A-T-E. Her mouth went dry. We're tracing, Keller muttered into his phone, pacing. Jake, I swear to God, if you don't get me a location in the next 30 seconds. Too late for what? Christina asked, forcing herself to keep her gaze on the letters. Aaron's chuckle was soft. You really should be asking where, not what. Her mind raced. The pattern, the calls, the fact that he'd gone dark for 24 hours. Where? She demanded. He hummed a little tune, off-key. You ever notice how people trust logos, badges, branding? A van pulls up with the right name on the side and they let you in. They even thank you. Pure path, she thought, stomach twisting. Where, Aaron? She shouted. You asked me once why Bleach, he said. Let me show you. The line clicked dead. Keller was already barking into his phone, coordinating with dispatch, pulling up the tracking on all registered Pure Path vehicles. A map appeared on his screen, dotted with icons. Here, he said, pointing. One of their vans is at an address in Brooklyn, scheduled for a post-incident sanitation. What incident? Christina asked. He checked the notes. His face went pale. Samantha Hart's building, he said. They made it to Fulton Avenue in record time. The uniforms outside looked jumpy, hands near their holsters, eyes darting. The entire building hummed with panic. He flashed a work order, one of them said, voice shaking. Said he was contracted by the landlord to clean up the crime scene. Paperwork checked out. We thought. You thought he was doing our job for us, Christina snapped. We thought we'd scare him off if we went stomping all over his scene, the officer said. He was polite, calm, he had a badge. Of course he did, she thought. A different kind of badge. They took the stairs 2 at a time. The smell hit her at the 3rd floor, fresh, bright, sharp enough to sting. On the 4th floor, the hallway shimmered with bleach haze. Respirators, Keller ordered. They pulled on the masks CSU had rushed to them, the rubber edges digging into their faces. Christina's heart hammered as they approached Samantha's door. It was closed. A faint light shone underneath. Keller gestured. On 3, they burst in. The apartment was dazzlingly bright. Every surface gleamed. The floor looked like it had been scrubbed multiple times. The laminate almost reflected their shapes. In the center of the room, where Samantha had fallen days before, something new sat. A white plastic chair. On it, a woman in hospital scrubs, wrists bound, medical bracelet still on. Her hair was damp, like she'd recently showered. Her eyes were open, pupils blown wide. An empty bleach jug lay on its side next to the chair, a small puddle slowly spreading underneath, creeping toward the outline where Samantha's blood had once been. The woman's chest rose in shallow, ragged breaths. Samantha, Christina gasped. Her IV port was still in her hand, taped hastily. A strip of hospital ID sticker clung to her sleeve. "He took her from the hospital," Keller whispered, horrified. Christina rushed forward, fumbling with the knots around Samantha's wrists. "It's okay," she said, voice shaking. "You're okay. We've got you." Samantha's lips moved. Christina leaned close, pulling her mask down just enough to hear. "He said second chances," Samantha rasped. Christina froze. "What?" "He said, I didn't clean up right," Samantha whispered. He wanted to finish." Her eyes rolled back. "EMTs!" Keller roared toward the hall. Footsteps thundered behind them. As paramedics swarmed the room, Christina stepped back, scanning the apartment. On the wall above the TV, written faintly in what looked like diluted bleach, just visible if you caught the light at the right angle, were words. "You missed a spot." A laugh bubbled up from her chest, sharp and hysterical. She swallowed it down. "He's taunting us," Keller said from beside her. "Again." "He's slipping," Christina said, staring at the words. "He's getting bolder, sloppier. You don't write on walls if you think you'll never get caught." "Or he thinks he's untouchable," Keller said. "No," she said slowly. "He thinks he's talking to me. This isn't about the world anymore. It's about the one person who sees the stains the way he does." "Don't say that like you're the same," Keller snapped. She turned to him. "I didn't murder my sister and film it. I'm just saying, he thinks I'm the only one worth playing with." "That's exactly what I'm worried about," he replied. Before she could answer, her phone vibrated. No caller ID. She stared at it, then hit accept. "Say hello to Samantha for me," Aaron said. His voice was light, almost cheerful. "I adjusted the mixture this time. Less direct contact, more vapor. Nasty burn in the lungs, but not immediately fatal, unless someone takes too long to call an ambulance." "She's alive," Christina said. "You failed. Again." "I never fail," he said. "I adapt. That's what cleaning is. Adapting to what people leave behind." "Where are you?" she demanded. He sighed, disappointed, still asking the wrong questions. "You're not going to win," she said. "We have your face, we have your voice, we have your pattern. Every time you call me, every time you write a message, you're giving me more data." "You really think this is about winning or losing?" he asked. "What else would it be about?" Across the room, Samantha wheezed as they loaded her onto a stretcher. Christina watched the rise and fall of her chest. "A test," he said, "to see who is willing to scrub harder, to see who really understands what it means to be clean." "You're not clean, Aaron," she said. "You're drenched in blood." "I wear gloves," he said. "You should know that by now." "Gloves leak," she said. "Eventually." He chuckled. "I'll tell you what, Christina," he said. "Let's make this interesting. No more hospitals, no more strangers. Next time, it'll be someone you know well." Her throat closed. "You come near my family." "Not your family," he said. "They've already served their purpose. No, I think someone closer. Someone who sleeps with their gun under the couch cushions. Someone who tastes stale coffee and cheap takeout more than air." Her blood ran cold. She turned slowly. Keller was talking to a paramedic, his back to her. "Aaron," she said, voice low. "If you touch him—" "You think you can stop me?" he asked gently. "You couldn't stop me when you were 16. You couldn't stop me when I took Samantha from under your nose. But by all means, try." The line went dead. Christina's hand tightened around the phone until the plastic creaked. She looked at Keller. He caught her expression and frowned. "What?" he asked. "Don't tell me he hung up on you again." "He said—" She swallowed hard. "He said the next one is someone I know. Someone who sleeps with their gun under the couch. Someone who lives on stale coffee and takeout." Keller blinked. "Okay, that's creepy," he said. "But how would he know what's under my couch?" She stared at him. He stared back. Then his eyes widened. "You don't think he's been in my apartment," he said. She thought of the letters in the windows, the van, the way he moved through buildings like he'd memorized floor plans. "I think he's been everywhere," she said. They swept Keller's apartment that night. CSU found no signs of forced entry, no leftover bleach, no messages on the walls. But they did find one thing. In the kitchen trash, under a layer of coffee grounds and takeout boxes, was a single blue nitrile glove. Clean. Too clean. Christina held it with tweezers, staring. "He was here," she whispered. Keller swore softly. "He's screwing with us." "He wants us off balance," she said. "He wants us to feel dirty, violated, like he can scrub us out whenever he wants." She put the glove in an evidence bag. "We stop reacting," she said. "We start acting. He's made this personal. We use that. We stop chasing where he's been and start predicting where he'll go." "And where's that?" Keller asked. She looked up at the ceiling, at the faint outline of water damage. "He always goes back to the same three things," she said. "Bleach, drains, and me." "You're not a thing," Keller said. "Tell him that," she muttered. She turned to the whiteboard they'd set up, filled with photos, dates, product codes. At the center, circled multiple times, was a logo, PurePath. "Every time he calls, every time he leaves a message, he's proving he can get close without leaving visible stains," she said. "But he's forgetting something." "What's that?" Keller asked. "There's more than one way to see a stain." She uncapped a marker. "Drake Care formulated their bleach with a unique optical brightener," she said, writing fast. "Under near UV, it glows differently. The lab says it's traceable even at the molecular level. If we flood known hot spots with alternate spectrum cameras, black lights, chemical reagents—" "Anywhere he's walked, anything he's splashed," Keller finished, "we might be able to see it. Like invisible footprints?" "Exactly," she said. "He's obsessed with cleaning. He thinks he can wipe away everything. But his choice of product is a fingerprint in itself." She circled the map, connecting dots with lines. "He's not the only one who can use patterns," she said. "We build a model. We predict his next target zone within a few blocks. We set a trap. With cameras he can't see with his eyes." Keller gave a short, humorless laugh. "A bleach monster caught by his own brand," he said. "There's poetry in that." Christina met his gaze. "It's not poetry," she said. "It's math." Weeks later, the city was different. People were suspicious of anyone carrying a white jug. PurePath saw a wave of cancellations and furious calls. Drake Care's stock took a hit. The company launched a PR campaign insisting their products were safe, their partnerships vetted. Christina didn't care. She cared about the quiet streets they'd chosen, the unnoticed alleys, the empty stairwells. Places the model said he'd likely go next, based on past distances, times, schedules. They'd set up near-invisible cameras, hidden UV sensors, tiny chemical sniffers that pinged when chlorine levels spiked. They waited. He stayed quiet. Sometimes the sensors would flutter at a false alarm, a janitor, a laundromat, someone cleaning their bathroom too vigorously. Each time her heart lurched, each time it sank when it wasn't him. "Maybe he's gone to ground for real," Keller said one night, sipping cold coffee in the surveillance van. "Maybe he got spooked." "Serials don't just stop," Christina said. "Not when they're this far in. They pause. They adapt. They find a new way to feel holy." He glanced at her. "You really think that's what this is for him? Religion?" She thought of his voice saying, "Purity," of his childhood story, of his mother's hugs. "I think it's the only thing that ever made him feel like he wasn't a stain," she said. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She smiled, humorless. "See?" she told Keller. "They never stop." She answered. No greeting this time, just a soft, almost affectionate sigh. "You've made quite a mess, Christina," Aaron said. "All those cameras, all those lights. People are starting to think the air itself is dangerous." "It is," she said. "When you're in it." He chuckled. "You flatter me." "Where are you?" she asked. "Oh, I'm just dropping by an old friend's place," he said. "Someone we haven't thought about in a while." Her chest tightened. "Beatrice is dead," she said. "There's nobody left for you to torture in my family." "You forget," he said. "Families aren't just blood. They're the people who were there when everyone else walked away." Her mind raced. The one person who'd believed her about Beatrice, the neighbor who'd called 911 for Samantha, who'd insisted she'd smelled the same bleach before. Mrs. Arnold. Her building was 3 miles from their current surveillance position. "You're too late," Christina blurted. "We have cameras." "At Mrs. Arnold's," he said, amused. "No, you don't. She's not on your little map. She's just noise, right? One of the many." But she's been very loyal to you, you know, always telling anyone who would listen that you were right, that she smelled me, that I was real. Static crackled on the line. Her ears rang. "Don't go there," he said softly. "You won't like what you see." He hung up. Christina was already moving. "Drive," she snapped at Keller. "Now." He didn't ask questions. As they barreled through streets, siren wailing, her eyes blurred with more than motion. The city lights smeared into lines. They skidded to a stop in front of Mrs. Arnold's building. The front door was ajar. The smell in the hallway hit her like a wall. Bleach. Neighbors peeked from doorways, hands over their noses, eyes streaming. "Top floor," someone coughed. "It's worse up there." They ran. Each step felt like a heartbeat. Each floor, a memory. The stairwell, Beatrice's backpack, yellow caution sign, officers stepping around her. The hallway, Samantha's door, chalk outline, words on the wall. On the top floor, outside Mrs. Arnold's apartment, the air shimmered. Wet footprints glowed faintly on the floor, still damp, leading away. Christina's throat closed. Keller grabbed her arm. "Christina, wait!" But she was already at the door. It swung open at her touch. Inside, the apartment was small and neat, a couch with worn cushions, a TV with a crocheted doily on top, family photos on the walls, and in the center of the living room, the obvious empty space where a body was not. On the coffee table, a white jug of bleach lay on its side, empty. Beside it, on the doily, was a phone, still recording. Christina stepped closer. On the screen, a video file played. The camera angle was tilted like it had been propped up quickly. In the frame, Mrs. Arnold sat on the couch, hands folded tight in her lap. Her eyes were wide but strangely calm. Aaron stood behind her, one hand on her shoulder, the other holding the familiar jug. "You see," he was saying, "she was a very good neighbor. She noticed the smell. She told you I was real. She believed when nobody else did. That kind of faith should be rewarded." "Please," Mrs. Arnold said quietly. "You don't have to do this. I already live with ghosts. I don't need to be one." He laughed softly. "You misunderstand," he said. "You already are. They made you a ghost the moment they stopped listening to you." He raised the jug. The video froze there, paused on his face. For the first time, Christina saw him fully, without shadows, without grain. His expression was almost tender. In the bottom corner of the screen, a tiny battery icon flashed red. The recording had stopped minutes ago. The apartment was empty. No body, no killer. Just the smell. Keller swore behind her. "Call it in," he said. "Citywide. We have an active abduction. He can't be far." Christina barely heard him. Her eyes were locked on the paused frame, on Aaron's face, on the faint, almost imperceptible reflection in the TV screen behind him, her own building's hallway, her own door, her own shape distorted, passing in the reflection weeks ago when she'd come home thinking she was alone. He'd been there, filming, watching, standing in her home with a jug of bleach in his hand. The phone buzzed in her palm. New message, no number. Just a blank notification, somehow threaded through anyway. She opened it. A single line of text. "You can't clean what you can't find." The cursor blinked, waiting. Christina stared at the words, at the empty room, at the bleach jug, drained of liquid but heavy with implication. Her lungs burned with the chemical sting, but she breathed in anyway. Because, under the harsh, choking smell, there was something else. A hint, a note she hadn't heard before, not chlorine. Something metallic. Rust? Her mind sparked. Drains, vans, old buildings with forgotten basements, places water and bleach could run without being seen. He wasn't just using bleach to erase. He was using the city's veins to disappear. "Christina," Keller said, hand on her shoulder. "What are you thinking?" She turned to him, eyes burning, not just from fumes. "I'm thinking," she said. "We've been looking in the wrong places." His brows knit. "What do you mean?" She looked back at the TV, at the frozen image of Aaron with his jug. "At the end of the day," she whispered, "everything goes down the drain." She straightened. "Call the city," she said. Water department, sanitation. I want maps. Every sewer line, every storm drain, every maintenance hatch within a mile of every one of his scenes. He's not a ghost, Keller. He's a rat. And rats live in tunnels. Keller's eyes widened. You think he's using the sewers, he said. I think, she replied, that in a city where everyone looks up for danger, the most dangerous thing is what's under their feet. She picked up the empty bleach jug with gloved hands. Even drained, it felt heavy, full of ghosts. We're going to scrub him out, she said quietly. And we're going to do it, she added, a grim smile tugging at her lips, where even he can't see the stains. Outside, somewhere beneath the city's skin, water rushed through dark concrete veins, carrying away the residue of 1,000 lives. And in those tunnels, in that echoing maze of pipes and shadows, a man who believed himself pure moved unseen, for now. Because above him, in the light, someone was finally learning to read the stains he couldn't erase. And she was coming.